Today, I would like to talk about one of the most surprising boxing skills that America have ever produced, which is called the shoulder roll. How could a guy beat the famous shoulder roll? I know back in the days you had Roger Mayweather that showed Floyd Mayweather Jr. how to do the shoulder roll. I know that Floyd Mayweather dad kind of like invented the shoulder roll. But how could you beat the shoulder roll? I just came back from rec and I was training on how to beat the shoulder roll. If you look in history and you look at boxing, who was one of the major guys that knew the shoulder roll to an extent that make him a champ? I have several boxers that beat the shoulder roll, but I haven't had nobody beat Mayweather shoulder roll. But I have come up with a technique and a formula to how to beat the shoulder roll. I know that I see Mayweather fought everybody's 50-0 with the shoulder roll. I know Bernard Hopkins pretty much can beat the shoulder roll. I know that Roy Jones had the shoulder roll. I see a lot of Carrera and a lot of guys that had the shoulder rolls that's real successful with the shoulder roll. But today, I'm gonna tell you how to beat the shoulder roll. In order for you to beat the shoulder roll, we had a guy that used to box. His name was Chris Byrd. Chris Byrd was one of the best shoulder roll guys that I knew. Chris Byrd had a brother fight and a sister fight. That was the fighters. Now, I seen Chris Byrd come from middleweight all the way to heavyweight. And I seen how he perfected the shoulder roll to beat a lot of the fighters. Now, Michael Moore was a guy that was come from middleweight, but he wasn't successful with the shoulder roll because George Foreman beat him later on as one of the oldest champs that ever took the title again. But to talk about Chris Byrd rose from middleweight all the way to heavyweight with the shoulder roll. But who did Chris Byrd beat with the shoulder roll? When Chris Byrd rose to heavyweight, he fought Evander Holyfield. I think he fought James Toney. He fought a lot of guys that didn't know the defense of the shoulder roll. In order for you to beat the shoulder roll, you cannot focus on the head. You have to focus on the body, the arms, the shoulders, the chest, everything but the head. That's why when you see Mayweather use the shoulder roll, everybody is trying to knock Mayweather out. In order for you to beat the shoulder roll, you can't focus on a distinct part of the body. You have to use every inch of your hand and knuckles to punch a guy everywhere but the head. I remember when Lennox Lewis and Holyfield fought. Lennox Lewis would never let Holyfield get into the fight, so he boxed him. You got to box a fighter and fight a boxer. Now, when Chris Byrd perfected the shoulder roll all the way from middleweight to heavyweight, you have to go for the arms and the body and actually the shoulder roll. Now, it's one person that ever beat the shoulder roll was a guy named Ike Iwabuchi. Ike Iwabuchi was one of the only guys to knock out Chris Byrd, and I never heard about Chris Byrd fighting again. Now, when I see a lot of the heavyweights, they would just go in slugging. I never seen a lot of them that perfected the shoulder roll because the shoulder roll is more for middleweights and a lot of the heavyweights to hit too hard for you to be getting connected with the shoulder roll. I seen Roy Jones and Smoke Gainer perfect the shoulder roll. I seen Roy Jones go all the way to middleweight to heavyweight with the shoulder roll, but when he ran into a couple other guys, Glenn and all these guys, the shoulder roll didn't work because these guys hit too heavy. They have heavy hands. Now, I was just on the yard perfecting the shoulder roll. The shoulder roll can be eliminated if you throw more than 100 or 200 punches in a round. So you have to work on value, consistency of punching. You have to throw over 100 or 200 punches around to get by the shoulder roll, because you're not trying to hit a guy in his jaw or in his head. You're trying to hit him everywhere but the head, the chin. That's how you accumulate a lot of points to be able to beat the shoulder roll. I was really looking at the fight with Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas in Korea, when Mike Tyson was using straight brute force and Buster Douglas was using a technique that's called counter punching. When you counter punch, you let a guy punch you, then you use the uppercut or the right. Now, when Mayweather trick a person to go for the head, he uses shoulder roll to use you to give you off balance, and once you're off balance, he counter your punch with a right or a left. That's how he used his shoulder roll to be effective. But why is everybody went into the ring? 50 fights Mayweather had. He had 50 fights and nobody beat him because he perfected the shoulder roll, because Roger couldn't beat a lot of the Latino fighters like Chavez and all those guys, because he didn't understand that Chavez was a real powerful hitter, Duran and all those guys. But now what he taught his nephew the shoulder roll, and he has perfected the shoulder roll, and somebody can beat Mayweather if they know how to fight. I've been training for the last years to beat the shoulder roll. Now, if I'm the only guy on this planet, or think the only guy on this planet, that know how to beat the shoulder roll, if I can beat the shoulder roll, and if I can get in a fight with Mayweather, I can actually show people how to beat the shoulder roll. Because the shoulder roll is, you got to be disciplined, and you got to know to land the punches, and you got to know how to land a lot of punches. And once you get Mayweather back up into the corner, you can't focus on the head. You have to focus on his limbs, his chest, his arms, everything but the head. And when you be a head hunter, that's what Mayweather tricked you into, using the head. Even when he fought all of those fighters, I see Mayweather, he loved the style of Prince. Prince Hassan Muhammad was one of the best guys with the shoulder roll, but he had a lot of power. And I see that Prince, that was one of my best fighters. And I seen that the Prince rose up in the boxing game because he knew how to beat Pacquiao and all those guys when they was at strawweight. And I seen Prince Hassan Muhammad beat a lot of guys, and he had perfected how to beat the shoulder roll, and he had the shoulder roll. But I wanted to let everybody know that I'm one of the only guys on this planet that can beat the shoulder roll. And once I get a chance to get into the ring after all these years, I know I'm a little older now, but Archie Moore was old. George Foreman was old when they got in the ring. I am actually want to fight, get my weight down and fight Mayweather to show everybody how to beat the shoulder roll. We know we can have it on pay-per-view. We can do whatever you want to do, man. But I can beat the shoulder roll, and I'm going to prove that I can beat the shoulder roll. And I want to let a lot of the brothers, I see a lot of the guys that's using the shoulder roll, but they haven't perfected the shoulder roll because they are just watching film on Mayweather, and they think that it's a defense that can't be beat. Every defense can be beat. Every boxing defense can be beat. It's the way you train, it's the way you come across with your punches, and it's the way that you can be able to beat the shoulder roll. And I'm going to make a video on how to beat the shoulder roll and be able to show people how to beat the shoulder, because I see a lot of these young guys, they don't actually train hard enough to defend themselves with the shoulder roll. They're lazy, they don't like to train, they don't like to run, They don't like to do all these things, and they do a little sparring and they start bragging. Beating the shoulder roll.